name is Teresita Blanco, the Artsy sister, and we're reading Saturnastra Melina. This is chapter 20, Recruitment. Melina only stayed in the tower for about a week, and she left after celebrating Sivano's 15th birthday. The poor fellow wasn't too keen about his surprise party, and he also hated the idea that his students knew his true age now. And Bar was there behind to start his apprenticeship in the tower, and he also was there to act as Melina's eyes and ear. Melina left the tower with a small party composed of Sassari, Gareth, and Franny. And after riding away from the tower, Melina felt like telling them the reasons for leaving so suddenly. And while camping under the moonlight, she said, "My superior recently tasked me with recruiting men to form a standing army, and we had originally planned to let things happen. However, the common army seemed most disappointing." "Wait, what?" said Sassari, taken aback. "Can you repeat that again?" "I am going to recruit people for an army," repeated Melina. But why you, a courtesan? No one is going to take what you say seriously." "No offense," said Sassari. "I follow her," said Gareth. "But you're a whore's son," said Sassari. "Yes, my mother is a prostitute too, and I turned out alright," said Franny. "Sure you did," said Melina, giggling. And she then turned serious, and she punched Sassari in the back of his head. Flinching, he said, "What was that for?" "You know what you did," said Melina, looking at him with fierce red eyes. "I'm sorry, it is not my place to judge. Whores are held in higher regards than some that are magic users such as I," said Sassari sadly. "You can't please everyone, Sassari," said Melina, and she added, "At least you are honest, hard-working mage." And this made Gareth and Franny start laughing, and Sassari's ears started burning red. And changing the subject, he said, "So where do you want to recruit your men? Veragerun, Aragon, the Orna feudals, Fender, Waden, Lota, Pidel, Stockeye?" "That's where everyone goes to recruit people, and those ponds are fished out, and I was thinking of what in large metropolitan areas. It might also help visiting non-human towns," said Melina. "So let me get this straight. You want to form a peasant army," asked Sarah. "Farmers already come physically fit, and all that will be needed is to teach them how to use a sword. Plus, well-bred fighters are too set on their ways to be of use to anyone. Still, I'm not interested in targeting one economic group over another. Nor would I accept into the army any idiot that shows up," explained Melina. "Phew, what a relief," said Franny. And then she said, So what do we have to do?" I don't know," said Melina, chuckling. "I'm familiar with a few recruiting tactics. Since there are 4 of us, we can each try them out." "Oy, this seems like it's going to be a lot more trouble than it is worth," said Sassari. "Do you even have a camp to send them to?" inquired Gareth. "Yes, the camp has already been built in an undisclosed location, and this talisman was sent them there as soon as they agreed to the terms and services," said Melina, taking out a crystal pendant. She then took out flyers from her bag, and when Gareth read the recruitment slogan, he started laughing. He then passed it to Sarah, who said, shaking his head, "You crazy girl, nobody's going to take this army seriously with this slogan. The slogan is meant to weed out the old geezers and the people with a traditionalist warlord mindset, and besides, I have never done this before. I have an idea of the kinds of soldiers I want, and how to get them is still up for debate," explained Melina. Fanny looked through the flyers and decided to keep one, and whenever she was feeling sad, she would look up to it and laugh. The slogan was as thus: "Had no respect for exercise or for excessive authority or obsolete traditions. Are you dangerous and depraved? Then come in addition to earn a chance to join Melina's army." The first town they visited was called Little Sofia, and it was a merchant town which dealt mainly in livestock and leather, and it was an intersection between several dozen villages, and Sassari had volunteered to teleport his crew to speed up the travel. However, Melina was riding in a sort of mood, and she gave her companions a bit of a leeway with their recruitment methods, and she also gave them a white scarf with a blessing designed to keep them from harm. And Gareth started his search at the center of the market, and Gareth went to the bars to pick up random drunken youth. And Franny went to the residential district to recruit people under the guise of being a traveling silk merchant. And they had until sunset to bring the people to an old open-air theater. And even though it was in ruins, people still did performances there from time to time, and when they arrived, they saw that Melina had picked up a dozen or so street urchins, and the ages ranged from 8 to 14, and said it was accompanied by 5 or so witches who did a little prostitution on the side. Such were their terrible lot in life. And Gareth had like 40 drunkards trailing behind him, and Melina was standing in a raised stone stage, and others who had been lured there sat on the stairs and the staircase seat. And Melina said in a high-pitched voice, "Before we begin, I must warn you. You won't be allowed into the army until you pass a series of grueling tests. So those willing to take the tests, come to the arena and perform the task that I will give you. Any questions? How much are we getting paid for this?" asked the man dressed in tattered gentleman's outfit. 10,000 gold coins a year, equipment, horse, and training included. If you don't know how to read or write, the army will teach you. Education-wise, there will still be plenty of apprenticeship opportunities. There is also free access to a healer, retirement pay, and childcare. Soldiers will also be entitled to 30-day vacations, sick days, and they will be free to loiter on 2 days of the week, and not applying to days when we march out, explained Melina. Can he pay us that amount, truly, as a drunkard? I am a courtesan, so yes, and I have more than enough money. And it is not as if I will be recruiting a battalion. There are only enough trainers and equipment for 12,000 soldiers, and little Sophia is the first time we visit, so you are in luck, said Melina. Sarah raised his hand and asked, "Are we going to fight Persephone?" "Heavens no," said Melina. Those assembled breathing a sigh of relief. She said, "Are we gonna go fight the crazy murder king?" No, relax, you're not fighting. Whoo, perfect. So we're lit.
Who are they gonna fight? Well, I guess I'll find out soon enough.
Well, we know in Marduk that Marduk is the one who kills Persephone. So obviously, in the first book, so obviously the knight never gonna fight the king because we already know how he dies in the first book. Mm-hmm. You know, so yeah, so you'll fight literally everyone else. Oh yeah. A shout in the audience asked, "What of dragons, demons, and other bodies? I will not make you fight demons or dragons." "Okay," said Melina. "We shall see, though," thought Sarah. And Melina left the arena and sat down in the staircase chairs, and the audition started under the glow of the torches and the flaming oil cauldrons. And the first man to audition was a drunken man, and based on his clothing, he had a noble heritage. And he had no earthly business signing out to this questionable army, and thankfully he was somewhat sober now. "Sarah cast a magic ball of light," interrupted Melina. Sarah did as she commanded, and then said, Are you my good man? And you, my good man, try to follow the movement of the ball with your eyes. You are not allowed to move your head." So, just look at it with your eyes. Sarah shook his head sadly and wondered what was the usefulness of this test, and Melina shook her head sadly and said, "Sorry, my good man, you're not army material. Next." The next taker was a witch that Sarah recruited, and she said, "I am quite skilled in pyromancy, and I know a bit of herbs on the side." "Sure you do. Try to follow the orb with your eyes," said Melina. Sarah did as she commanded, and Melina then said, "I want you to take 10 steps heel to heel in a straight line." "This is most amusing," said the witch, and those watching from the sidelines found this audition quite amusing.
Are they getting a sobriety test? Okay.
For the last time, Melina had the witch stand on one foot for 30 seconds. The witch had to use her hands to balance herself out, and for some reason Melina arbitrarily said, "Thank you for your time, but you are not army strong." When the next test came, Melina varied the requirements, and this time the 3 tasks required that the person recite the alphabet backwards, and this made a few illiterate fellows in the audience cringe, and others felt silly when Melina asked them to count the number of fingers she was raising. "How many fingers are there?" "But we can see the finger." "We can see the finger,
a sobriety test.
We can see the finger, you freaking lunatic." To this bizarre method, Melina weeded out those who had come to her call, and by midnight she had settled on 17 recruits. And using her magic talisman, Melina sent them on her way. After they were gone, Melina commented, "What a mess! I think we're going to need better recruiters." "Well, don't look at me," said Gabby. "I bought you a ton of drunken men for your army, but you wouldn't have any of them. And it would also help us to tell us what you're looking for." "I thought it was pretty obvious considering the company that I keep," rebuked Melina. Sarah thought a moment, but before he could answer, he heard Franny said, "You want unmarried people." "Exactly," said Melina. And she added, "I would like them to be untouched as well, but I am not in any position to be picky." "Could have fooled me," said Sarah sarcastically. "Just for that, I want you to go find Augustus and Fred and maybe Boris if he's not doing anything. And they have more experience in the recruitment game, and they could help me find the peons I am looking for," said Melina. "Don't you think it is a bit late to show up unannounced?" asked Sarah. "Deal with it," said Melina. So instead it left to fetch Augustus, Frederick, and Boris, and while they were gone, Fanny and Goddess started setting up camp in the outskirts of the town, and Goddess asked while lighting the fire, "I don't see why we couldn't stay at an inn. It is not as if we're short of money." "It is nice to camp outside from time to time," said Melina. "For you, maybe, but we are humans, and we like sleeping on cushioned beds," said Gareth, annoyed. "No one said you had to camp out here with me," said Melina. "You could have stayed in the inn by yourself." "It would be unwise for me to leave you alone at night in this unfamiliar forest," said Goddess. "How sweet, but like I told Augustus, I am a big girl and I can take care of myself, and don't forget, I am an nymph and the forest is my natural element," said Melina. "You haven't lived in the forest for more than 9 years," commented Gareth. Fanny reared her head from within the tent and then said, "Can you lower your voices? I am trying to sleep." "Sorry, Fanny, I will shut up now, and you too, Gareth. Go to sleep and I will keep watch," said Melina. Gareth went to sleep in a fury, and the next morning Sassari rode up in a carriage, and sitting beside him was Frederick manning the reins, and Augustus was clad in a beautiful silver white armor with an elegant white cape and a diamond encrusted rapier at his waist. And when Cedric arrived, Gareth and Fanny were already eating breakfast, and Melina was deeper in the forest performing her morning libation, and she was expected to return before the sun was fully up. And Gareth saluted and then said, "What was the carriage, and were you able to fetch boars?" "Why don't you see for yourself?" said Cedric, pointing towards the carriage. Gareth rose from the ground and looked inside, and riding with boars was his pretty little wife, Mia of Aragon, and she had insisted on coming along with boars since she had absolutely nothing better to do, and Sarah suspected that she had come out of spite. And Gareth saluted boys and said, "Hi, Mia, does your father know that you're here?" "My dear husband implored that I maintain secrecy," said Mia, "and I will recruiting people to fight our lord." "No," said Gareth, "that is more than pity," said Mia, sitting back down. And Mia was always riding the ways of fashion, and as such she was wearing an elegant white dress with curly powder wig and a feather hat. And she also had made boys wear a boorish outfit that would complement her attire. And while conversing, Augustus rode up to camp, and then he asked Fanny, "Where is Melina?" "Somewhere in the woods, as usual," said Fanny, after swallowing a large piece of toast with melted butter. "You let her go alone," said Augustus in an alarmed voice. I couldn't as well follow her, and Gareth wanted to sleep," said Fanny, apologetic. "If anything happened, it's Sir Gareth's fault. He's the man after all." Gareth frowned when he saw Augustus approaching, and he had guessed the reason why Augustus was trotting towards him. And Gareth raised his hand and said, "Before you say anything, I must inform you that I told Melina not to go into the woods, and the girl always does whatever she wants, and I would have followed her, but then I decided to sleep instead." "There's no need to apologize," said Gareth. "I know how she is like, and I was wondering if you knew in which direction she went," inquired Augustus. "Well, she usually bathes in the morning," said Gareth. He handed her a map and said, "Look, we are here, and about a short distance there is a lake or something." "That's a road," said Augustus, pointing to the ledger. "Oh, yeah, that's right," said Gareth, laughing. Their chit-chat was interrupted by Melina's arrival, and then she said, "I am glad to see that all of my friends are here, and Mia, welcome aboard." And Mia showed her face to the window and said, "Happy to help." Frederick said, "So, illustrious leader, where are we headed?" "We are going to Mayence," said Melina, pointing in a random direction. Mayence was a month's journey west from Little Sofia, and the summer wind brought out warmth to an otherwise frigid landscape, and the region was unpassable during the winter months, and after much coasting, Melina agreed to take Ceri's little shortcut. Thanks to his shortcut, they were in Mayence after a 3 days journey.
I should have went to Miami. I was like, what?
Mayence.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the shortcut is a teleport spell.
Gotcha.
After 3 days, can we just teleport? We have a magic, why don't we just teleport there? Fine, we'll teleport there. You lazy walkers. Mayence was a fast-growing town, and it was soon to become a city. And it was lies in the middle by the twin rivers, and the river was the center of Mayence's economy, and it was used to transport and receive goods from other towns. And its reddish pigment alluded to the rich soil it carried. And all of the crops irrigated by the rivers produced 10 times its normal yield. And during Melina's time, the river was considered sacred, and as such, the town is used would often do water burials in honor of the goddess Lisa. And when Melina's party arrived, the first thing they noted were the corpses floating down the river. And Frederick covered his mouth with a handkerchief and then said, "How awful." "What's that smell?" said Mia, looking outside her carriage, and Fanny, who was sitting within, also looked outside. God, God, there are corpses floating down the river, said Franny. I can see that, said Garrett. Why are there corpses floating down the river? asked Cedric. It's a religious thing, explained Augustus. A pity, said Melina, shaking her head. They are lucky the dragons pick up the body while they are still fresh, otherwise the corpses would spoil the water. Dragons? What dragons? Where? asked Boris, looking across the bank. And Melina pointed to one of the bodies adorned with flowers, and it was quickly submerged beneath the murky red waves. And Gary said, that could have been anything people naturally think when they are in water. Not corpses, said Freddie. Look, it's happening over there, said Mia, pointing at the other side of the river. And indeed, the corpses were disappearing one by one, and the people gathered around the river were whispering in awe. And all they saw was the effect, not the cause of the corpses' disappearance. Just ignore the dragons, said Melina. It is not as if they are doing any harm. Now let's get to work. Again, Melina's crew spread about town to inform the people about the audition, and the rendezvous point was the frosty meat pot, and the pot owner was said to be a dragon, though none had any proof, and he was a stern-looking silver-haired fellow with red eyes. And his meat was always frosty, even in the harshest summer. And his pot also featured a stage where bards and playwrights would perform their works on a daily basis. And Feder knew for a fact that he was one of Melina's contacts. And as a pub owner, Griffin Run spent his time hearing useless information. And Feder rarely got any reports from this contact, and according to Melina, Griffin had open blood flowing to his veins, though it was greatly diluted. And it was around dusk when Melina's party brought all of those who wanted to audition. And Melina's companion lured a lot of different kinds of people, and they highlighted the benefit that Melina had mentioned in their last audition. And the line this time was a block wide, and in order to make room enough for everyone, the waitresses took name and assigned other dates for the audition. And as such, Melina stayed in my aunt for almost a whole week. And they would have left after 5 days, however, Melina got a little bit creative with her stupid auditions. And in one audition, Melina had the people find the missing piece of an elaborate pattern, and another variation was speaking the art shape, and she also asked her participants which was the pattern that followed. And in one audition, the participants had 60 seconds to solve something that Melina called a Rubik's Cube. And the cube sides could be rotated vertically and horizontally, and one was declared the winner when all sides had one color. And Francesca still had this Rubik's Cube and snake, and both were used during the audition process. And the one which caused them the greatest frustration was the one of getting an egg inside a bottle without breaking it. And even magic users had a hard time with this, and those who succeeded ended up teleporting the egg inside the bottle. Though they technically solved the riddle, it did not earn them the right to join Melina's army. And in the last day, Melina brought out her Vexier puzzle. Thus assembling the pod moaned when they saw the wire rope with the rings, and pouting Melina said, "What? Aren't you having fun?" "You are making it impossible for us to join your army," snapped one of the participants. "This lady cannot be blamed for being picky," said Griffin. "Since it is going to be our last day in town, I will let the participants choose between two riddles. One is to unsnap this wire loop and look for the between these rings and finger, and the other is to drink from a fumbling cup," said Melina. Though most of us assembled opted for the public cup, and the cup had 3 ceramic cups linked together, and in order to win, the participant had to drink all of the content without spilling the brew. And this riddle seemed simple enough until Griffin started giving out free drinks for the audition, and this gave Melina a new chance to mate with her prospective soldier. Instead of a drink, Melina filled the fiddling cup with hot sauce or vinegar. "I can't take it anymore. Why are all of you fools going around with what this bitch is getting?" yelled one of the participants. "She may dress pretty, but I bet she does not have a single coin to her name, and only fools join armies run by horse anyway." "Sheesh," said Melina, giggling. "Do I have your permission to hit him?" asked Augusta, standing up. "Do you have a problem with me being a courtesan?" asked Melina, getting on the stage, and the barkeep Griffin made a sign to one of the stagehands who had her focused like on top of Melina. "Yes, I have a problem. It is women like you who corrupt this world," said one of the participants. He was another gentleman dressed in rags. "I beg to differ, my good man. It is not our fault you became impoverished, and no one forced you to spend all of your money on loose women, and no one made you gamble away your name. And start taking responsibility for your own actions, fool," said Melina, pointing to the gentleman. The crowd started cheering and hooting, and one of them even yelled, "Show us your undergarments!" How did you know?" said the gentleman, taking a step back. "I guess," said Melina, smiling, and then she reached into her pocket and she drew a letter pouch at the gentleman's chest. And when he opened it, he saw a faint reflection of rubies, and with a trembling voice he asked, "Are they real? Of course they're real," she added. "I expect you to work twice as hard, seeing as though I gave you an advance." "Thank you," said the gentleman, leaving the bar. "I don't think he's coming back," Melina commented Griffin. "He owns a lot of people, a lot of money in town, and he's probably going to go to another city and renew his cycle of self-destruction." "I know," said Melina, shaking her head sadly. "Still, it would not kill me to give him the benefit of the doubt." It is such a shame to give away so many precious gems to a lost cause," commented Mia. "Time, bro?"
2 minutes, sugar.
The next morning, Melina and her party took the boats down street, and they were headed for the fishing village of Escara Bay. And this was one of the oldest fishing villages in the continent of Artsy, and it was believed that early humans first settled on the fishing town. And the village was composed of 50 houses. Melina's party arrived in the summertime, and no one knew the identity of the landlords, though the locals were familiar with their extended family, and this led them to guess that the landlords were either a goblin or orc, etc., and the fact that no one had seen the core family or the head of this household. And when Melina's party arrived, Cedric said, "I want to see those old fishing huts." "Sure, go for it," said Melina. "Isn't it a bit early for harvest?" inquired Mia. There are certain harvests that can be done in the summer," said Augustus. "Yes, like beans, tomatoes, sweet corn, and cucumbers," said Freddie. "Are we going to recruit farmers now?" asked Franny. "Yes, but I first have to make a quick stop at the manor," said Melina. "May we accompany you?" asked Augustus. "Not this time. I have to go there alone," said Melina ominously. Naturally, this brought up all sorts of questions, and Melina stoically ignored them. And Frederick naturally grew suspicious and Augustus worried, and they secretly trailed behind Melina, and then lost track of her in the cornfield. And they spent several hours wandering around and peeping inside random windows of each manor, and at last Melina was nowhere in sight. Plus, none of the farmers remembered seeing a girl that looked like her. And Frederick then drew Augustus' attention to a strange-looking man clad in black armor, and upon closer inspection, Augustus noted his strong face, his masked face, and his jagged battle axe. "That man is obviously guarding something," whispered Frederick. "Do you think that's where Melina went?" asked Augustus. "Don't you?" asked Frederick. "So what do we do now?" "Can you take him?" asked Frederick. "I prefer not to, and Melina does not approve of those who pick random fights," said Augustus, remembering his time as an animal. Chuckling, Frederick said, "Hey, it's fine if you're afraid, and we could bribe our way inside." "Hey, and you, what are you doing there?" said the guard in a gruff, guttural voice, and he swiftly made his way towards Frederick and Augustus. "Hello there, my good man," said Frederick in a thundering voice. From up close, the guard looked twice as big. And Augustus removed his helmet, and the warm sunshine made her red hair glister like fire, and the guard's voice changed as he asked, "What are you doing here, Missy? This is no place for a love trees, and be gone with both of you." "We did not mean to be a bother, sir," said Augustus, giving a curtsy.
30 seconds.
Alright, so, well, let's just leave it here. Bye-bye and God bless.